if they're emailing you, if they come to your games, if they talk to you after a game, if they invite you to campus, and if they constantly are back and forth communicating with you. I would just say be a support system and calm their minds. I think recruiting, especially in young players, they want to shoot the moon and have high dreams, which is awesome, but also bring a little bit of reality into the picture, and just be very much of a support. I would say make a pros and cons list. That can be kind of cliche sometimes, but it's very helpful. And I just advise parents to let them be independent too, and not be so invasive on their decision, and just let them see for themselves. I think just your priorities in school. So if academics really are very important, which they should be, but just social life and just kind of the culture and just maybe things that are really important to you that the average athlete would not ask. And just really try and get a lot of information. Coaches want to answer your questions. So just be as detailed and thorough as possible, and they will reciprocate that for you. I would say just knowing your priorities and knowing, I guess just being very thorough in your campus visit, and not just looking for like the big and showy things like the field and the facility, and all of that's important, but just really getting to know as much as possible the kind of ins and outs of life, because that's what college is the day-to-day and the things that you don't always look for on a recruiting visit. I think I wish I would have researched a little bit more into schools and not so much on the athletics, because school is very important as well. I know that some institutions are doing away with the ACT and standardized tests, but that would be my first piece of advice, is to do well on that test. I know admissions also looks very intensively at your GPA and what you're involved with, but pay your dues in high school, and that will help you in college, and that is what's going to get you an academic scholarship to any point on the spectrum. I know some students that are very, very bright can get up to 50 to 75, maybe full scholarship. There's a lot of recruiting sites that we advise to go to. As college coaches, we get emails daily from all of those different sites, and it shows anything from your ability on the field to who you are as a person to your academics, and just the whole spectrum. So I think that's a really good way to start. From there, it's really about being recognized and who are you compared to the next athlete. So just really finding ways to stand out and get to campus. I would say that's huge. Get in front of the coach and be different. And once you leave, be in contact and do not let them forget you, because there's a lot of athletes that are in the coach's minds, and it's sometimes easy to be forgotten if you're not standing out. I would say players really get wrapped up in Division I, II, or III, and that's very much a label. I think there's a lot of programs in Division III that could be potentially a lower level D2, that kind of thing. I think that's huge. I think just kind of like the big show of like, oh, it's a big school, it's, whatever, and that kind of ties in. I think not being super present during visits, I think it's easy to just kind of get wrapped up in the facilities and that kind of thing. And I think that's sometimes a mistake, because you're fooling yourself, because that's one aspect is your athletics, but you have to keep your grades if you want to be an athlete. And lastly, I would just say, I don't know, I guess just not asking like enough questions, or not really comparing schools. So when you visit one school and it can be drastically different than the other, like really picking apart like what is different, because at the end of the day you can only choose one. So just trying to really find all the best aspects for your experience. I would say do a lot of up close and mechanics and form. College coaches are really looking at, how the details of your swing or how you're fielding. Definitely put your top strengths in there. We're not necessarily looking for your weaknesses and how we can improve them. Like, show us what you can do best. That's what we want to see, because that's how you're going to help us the most. And I would say definitely introduce yourself and give some verbal, spoken about yourself. And it just lets us get to know you a little bit more, as opposed to just who you are as an athlete. And yeah, and show, let your passion and love for the game show through, obviously in how you're talking, but just in your presence and how you're playing as well. It really honestly depends on the level. In Division III is generally junior and senior year, but in the top Division I schools, it can start as a 7th and 8th grader. So I would say on average, definitely start looking into schools around freshman year of just making a list of what do you want, and just informally visiting, and maybe not meeting with the coaches, but just hey, checking out a school, and then summer of sophomore year, for sure going into junior year, that is the year to start getting involved in clinics, setting up your visits, and really start building relationships with a small set of schools. And that's how you really start building a relationship with the coach, and they know you by name.